People generally think of firefighters as superheroes who can burst through doors, walk through fire, and run down 7 stories of smoke-filled stairs carrying both your grandma and your cat. But we also have a lot of lesser-known skills like the ability to sleep in 45-minute bursts between calls, enough cool to avoid snapping at a coworker after 3 frustrating calls in a row, and mad truck driving through traffic skills. But you can't just slide down the fire pole into this job. It's going to take time, training, and dedication. Hi, I'm Mike Johnson, a captain with the Phoenix Fire Department, and here's how to become a firefighter. Firefighters fight fire, right? Well, just so much as woodchucks chuck wood. In reality, woodchucks mostly chuck a whole lot of dirt, and firefighters mostly answer a whole lot of emergency calls that have nothing to do with houses engulfed in flames. In 2020, only 4% of fire department calls were actually fire-related. In a lot of cases, firefighters are just general emergency management professionals, meaning they respond to all sorts of emergencies. The most common calls they answer include stuff like medical emergencies, spills and leaks of hazardous materials, floods, car accidents, or even high school sophomores yanking the fire alarm to get out of their 3rd period chem class. And all that means is firefighters have to be ready for whatever is waiting on the other side of the call. But no matter what kind of emergency they're responding to, fire departments, which can be made up of 1 or more fire stations, have to be very organized with specific rankings and responsibilities. Most firefighters start out as probationary firefighters, meaning they've been working for a year or less. But most of the fire brigade is made up of regular firefighters who are probably the people you pictured when you clicked on this episode. There are also more specialized firefighter positions like drivers and engineers who drive and maintain the fire engine itself and keep a mental map of all the fire hydrants in the district. Above regular firefighters on the firehouse corporate ladder are the lieutenants, who add training and daily firehouse operations to their list of responsibilities. And then there come fire captains, the highest ranking of firefighters, or at least the highest ranking on-the-ground reporting firefighters, who are the people who pull up on their suspenders, slip into their steel-toed boots, leap into the engine, and speed away, sirens wailing. After that, it's a whole lot less zooming through the streets from one emergency to the next, and a whole lot more administrative duties. Battalion chiefs manage fire stations, doing things like creating work schedules, taking care of hiring and firing, maintaining safety, and supervising training. Assistant chiefs help in the management of entire departments. And fire chiefs themselves are the big kahunas in charge of the fire stations in the area, as well as the budget, policy and procedure development, and working with local politicians. And while paperwork might feel pretty different than scaling burning buildings, it can be a pretty comfortable way to spend your later years at the department. The higher job titles can come with a pretty significant pay bump, while fire chiefs making a salary of nearly $126,000 a year compared to firefighters' $50K. Plus, sitting behind a desk running things as the big boss is way easier on your body than working as an active firefighter, which requires some major physical prowess and long work hours. In fact, the average firefighter shifts are usually 24 hours on with 48 hours off in between, or 10 to 12-hour shifts 4 days in a row. That's because each firehouse has to always have firefighters on shift, hanging out and waiting to tackle whatever emergency comes their way. They not only work, but also eat, sleep, and even shower at the office. And firehouses have specific dormitory areas to catch those Z's. And each firefighter shift can be pretty unpredictable. Some shifts may be mostly training, maintaining the fire station, and playing copious amounts of cards, dominoes, and pickleball. Others may be back-to-back calls with little time to eat or sleep, let alone beat your coworkers' categories. When that emergency call does come, it's go time for firefighters, drivers, lieutenants, and the fire captain. They have to drop whatever they're doing like it's hot, pile into that fire truck, and hit the road. Once on the scene, they assess what's gone wrong, whether it's a fire, medical emergency, tiny kitten stuck in a tree, or something else. Then they deploy their equipment and hopefully secure the situation. Once the flames are out, or Fluffy's safely back in her owner's arms, it's time for the paperwork. The fire captain carefully performs routine documentation of the incident, including any follow-up still needed. If all that sounds like the life for you, then you're in luck. While the job itself is hard, the actual path to firefighterhood doesn't have as many prerequisites as jobs like doctor or lawyer. In fact, it doesn't require any education besides high school diploma or GED, plus a valid driver's license. There are age requirements, however, which can range from 18 to 21 plus, depending on the fire department. Plus, each individual fire department does have its own hiring criteria, which can involve some independent coursework, certifications like your emergency medical technician license, and tests specific to that department, of course. Generally, cities require more prior training than smaller towns. If a place is rural enough, they might not have a paid fire department at all, and instead run an all-volunteer brigade with little training required. So your first step should definitely be to check out the specific requirements where you live or where you want to work. You can find out about those requirements through your city or by dropping by your local fire department. Although all department tests are different, you can expect it to include a written portion that tests your general knowledge and problem-solving ability. There also may be a portion that's more firefighter specific, including questions about proper processes. You'll have to also take a physical capability test to make sure you're in good enough shape to handle the physical toll of the job, as well as a psychological test to make sure the same is true for your mental health. The next step is usually an in-person interview conducted by a panel from the department. You should be prepared for some general interview questions like explaining your work history, greatest strengths and weaknesses, and why you want the job in the first place. It'll also probably include some more firefighter-specific questions like why teamwork is so important to being a firefighter, how you plan to remain calm in emergency situations, and how you see your role around the firehouse. And while your answers matter, probably even more important is your general conduct and how you interact with the panel. Teamwork is key for a successful station, so everyone must work very well together in order to succeed in high-pressure situations. A big part of what the interviewers want to see is how you communicate with others and function as a team. Once you're hired, you'll receive training from your department on particular expectations and practices. Plus, if you didn't have to get certified as an EMT before getting hired, now's the time to do it. This will require some training and additional examination. After completing your certifications and your department-specific training, it's time to start working your way through those ranks I mentioned earlier. You'll be a probationary firefighter for the first year or so before your promotion to regular firefighter. After that, generally you're expected to wait a certain amount of time before promotion, somewhere around 5 years depending on your department. That means working your way up from firefighter all the way up to chief can take over a decade. But if fire chief is your dream, in addition to being a responsible, reliable worker, there are some steps that you can take. For example, even though it's not always required, you might consider getting a bachelor's degree in fire science, public administration, or another related field. This can indicate to your supervisor that you're committed to the career and looking to get a broader view of how to help lead the fire service in your area. While these degrees take a while to earn while working full-time, it's definitely possible. There are also a variety of additional higher-level certifications like rescue technician, wildland firefighter, or hazmat operations that you can pursue. The more informed and certified you are, the more useful you can be for the different kinds of calls and needs within and beyond your department. Most fire departments promote from within, so you probably won't have to go job hunting in order to climb the ranks from firefighter to lieutenant to captain to chief. But if you realize there's limited possibility for promotion at your current department, you do have the option of applying to a larger department elsewhere. It's way easier to get hired once you have some firefighting experience under your very heavy utility belt. There are some other paths into boots, turnouts, and a helmet of a firefighter too. For example, many firefighters don't only have their EMT or paramedic license. They've spent time working as one too. EMT work overlaps a lot with being a firefighter, from responding to immediate emergencies to driving an emergency vehicle as fast as you can through city traffic. In fact, some fire departments give precedence to applicants who have EMT experience when it comes time to hire. Plus, like I mentioned, some firefighters find their way into the profession by volunteering in all-volunteer brigades. Most of these brigades work in more rural areas, where there aren't enough calls to need a full-time department. Volunteers actually make up 65% of all firefighters in the US. Volunteer firefighters usually need some firefighting, first aid, or EMT training, though their training usually isn't as extensive as full-time firefighters. And like regular firefighters, they do generally need to be at least 18 years old with a valid driver's license and meet basic physical health requirements. Volunteer firefighters don't work shift schedules like paid firefighters. Instead, many have other jobs and respond to emergency calls whenever they come up. Kind of like being an on-call doctor, minus the paycheck. But since applying for paid firefighter jobs can be pretty competitive, at least depending on where you're applying, this kind of experience can be a great way to set you apart from the pack. But if your dream is to work for specialized firefighting units like the interagency hotshots, who take on the most dangerous aspects of fighting wildfires, your path might look a little different. Yes, that's the official name. No, it's not a sports bar chain, bowling league, or male strip club. In addition to meeting physical requirements, these firefighters usually have pretty extensive wilderness experience in something like forestry or land management. Unlike traditional fire departments, most hotshot firefighters are hired seasonally, with applications open between August and October for the following year. No matter what kind of firefighter you'd like to be, like I said before, your first step is going to be research, research, research. You're going to want to figure out the requirements for the particular department you're applying to and make sure you meet them. That means boning up on any testing or certification requirements. It also means making sure you're in peak physical shape. Job postings and requirements are available on fire department websites. Some departments only offer testing for new firefighters every few years. So when you're thinking about applying, it's best to plan way in advance. If you're serious about fire safety but aren't totally sure if being a firefighter is right for you, there are some ways to dip your toe into the flames. In addition to volunteer brigades, many regular fire departments have station volunteers to assist with basic tasks. This requires way fewer certifications and can give you valuable experience and insight to how you will feel making this your career. You could also chat with firefighters about their experience at places like career fairs. Or if you're still in school, you could attend firefighting camps or youth programs. Some fire departments also offer opportunities for ride-alongs, where you can tag along in the engine on calls. You could also consider becoming a certified fire guard. These folks are licensed in specific areas of fire safety, like monitoring event spaces and theaters to make sure the exits are clear, capacity regulations are followed, and all fire detectors, sprinklers, and extinguishers are in good working order. You can obtain this certification through a quick in-person test, and while hopefully you won't be faced with any emergency situations under your watch, fire guards are in charge of implementing emergency procedures should the situation rise. Firefighting can be an unpredictable job. A shift can contain a whole lot of life-threatening emergencies, or a whole lot of playing Xbox with your coworkers. And when you get that call and hop in that truck, you can never be quite sure what's waiting at the other end. But if you're a quick thinker, good communicator, and capable of performing 3 to 6 sets of 5 to 15 pull-ups, it might be the life for you. If you want to learn more about undergrad major options, check out our Fast Guide series where we dive into popular college majors. And check out GoStudyHall.com for more resources. If you want to help us out, give this video a like, comment how many pull-ups you can do, and smash that subscribe button. Thanks for watching. See you next time.